Hey, I'm Laura, a time management strategist, and I help working moms, regardless of what type of work you do, ditch the hot mess and level up your work life balance using a proven time management framework that I created. Today, we are talking about ADHD and that framework inside Time Management Academy and understanding if it can work for you if you have or if you think you have ADHD. This is the number one question that I get asked about Time Management Academy is if it works for women with ADHD. And so I'm really excited to dig into this topic. Now, before we dive in, head over to thelauraddavis.com/work week to join my free Master Your Work Week challenge, where you'll discover exactly how to actually get your to-do list done every single day without burning out or overexhausting yourself. All right, let's get into it. And before we do, I just want to be totally transparent in that this topic actually makes me a little bit nervous. And it's something, like I said, that I'm asked all the time, but I have never really talked about it in any of my formal platforms like this. So if you ask me in person, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to give you what I'm about to say to you, but I've never really done it like this. And so just full transparency behind the scenes of being a business owner, the topic makes me a little bit uncomfortable. And that's because I am not an ADHD expert. I do not have ADHD that I know of. Are there moments where I genuinely think that I might have ADHD? Yes. And I don't just mean that from like a flippant, oh, it's because I have ADHD. I mean it from like I've been reading some of like the science and the research, and there are things that make me think that I might have it, but I have never been clinically diagnosed. I honestly don't know if I ever have plans to ask for testing because I don't know if it would necessarily change anything for me. So I am not certified in ADHD. I am not an expert in ADHD, but there's a big but here. Over 60% of my clients who I have worked with in Time Management Academy have ADHD or strongly believe that they have ADHD, and they have found success with the Time Management Academy framework. And so I share this because, again, I like to be transparent. I'm not going to claim to be an expert in something that I have no certifications in and no firsthand experience in, but I do work with a lot of women who have ADHD. And the goal of learning how to manage your time is to create a very supportive approach to time management that is based on your individual needs. And so I want to talk a little bit about the framework and why it's important to have a framework for managing your time, because anybody can go out and buy a cute Target planner or a Lilly Pulitzer planner or an Erin Condren or a life planner or whatever it may be. But planners and templates are also something I'm asked for quite frequently, like Excel templates or OneNote templates, things like that. Both things can be effective tools that you use, but they often fail because they are not tailored to how people actually think or operate, especially for us as working moms. So these tools are not flexible or adjustable to you as a unique person, and they don't allow for shifts and pivots throughout the year as your time demands ebb and flow. And so, for example, your time and your schedule and the demands on your schedule are way different during back to school time in August and early September than they are in February, when everything is a bit calmer and kind of status quo, right? So let's talk about Time Management Academy's framework. So there are 4 pillars to this framework. Pillar 1 is principles, and these are foundational concepts for structuring your time. Pillar 2 is time management skills, and these are practical skills and habits that you implement to live out the principles from Pillar 1 effectively. And skills are something that you do every single day. Pillar 3 is mindset of time management. And this is building the belief that you can take control of your time even when it feels overwhelming. And I will say pillar number 3 with mindset, it is probably the most underestimated pillar of importance because a lot of people who I work with only want to focus on the skills pillar. That's really all that they want. But as we get into it, they realize how critical the mindset pillar truly is. And then pillar number 4 is bandwidth awareness. And this is really understanding your capacity and adjusting your expectations and your commitments according to your individual bandwidth as a working mom. Many of my clients, like I have said, have ADHD or believe very strongly that they have ADHD. And they have found the TMA framework to be really empowering because it adapts to their specific strengths and their specific challenges. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that this framework does for women in general, but then especially with the tilt of having ADHD. So first of all, it is going to reduce decision fatigue by offering a repeatable process. And this really hits on the fact that your brain doesn't have to work as hard at figuring out what to expect or what to do next because you're already going to know with this framework. So once you learn this framework and you implement the framework in your life, you no longer have to wonder, oh, what should I be working on next? There's none of that decision fatigue, which can be a really big trigger for women with ADHD. It also encourages flexibility while maintaining structure. And this is actually one of the principles that you learn inside Time Management Academy is that structure creates flexibility. And what I mean by this is that when you build your calendar using the TMA framework, you actually get more flexibility than if you just wing it. And this is because you get a holistic view of your time, which allows you to easily shift and move things when needed. And then it also promotes self-awareness around your energy and your focus patterns, which again, these can be big triggers for women who live with ADHD. So paying attention to things like, to these things is the first step and really being able to use them to your advantage as well. And a couple of examples of this is like, do you have more brain power in the morning or in the early afternoon? Because not everyone is the same. And do you have more physical energy and not as much mental energy in one area of the day or the other? And then also, does it do like certain tasks exhaust you more than others? And so what I mean by that is like, do you have a task that just really takes a ton of mental and emotional energy from you? So for me, one of those things is writing. If I'm going to write, that is a huge mental energy that I have to use. It's a huge expenditure. And so I need to be very cognizant of when I plan writing. I need to do that in the mornings because I have a lot more brain power in the mornings. And then I also want to talk about a few common struggles that I have learned from my patients who are not patients, from my clients who have ADHD. One of them being difficulty with task transitions. So this can mean like you struggle with transitioning between tasks. It can also mean that you get hyper focused on certain tasks or that you even struggle getting focused in the first place with a task. And this struggle is really addressed with the 4th pillar of the TMA framework, which is the bandwidth awareness. And so these things are all related to that executive function, which can be hindered by ADHD. And if you have ADHD, I know that you know this already, but the TMA framework helps with this because it helps you establish really clear boundaries around your tasks. And this framework also helps you see that if something doesn't go according to plan, like if you do get really hyper fixated on something and then you're doing that the rest of the day instead of all the other tasks that you wanted to do, you know exactly what to do to stay on track to still get those other tasks done and how to effectively and strategically pivot it's almost like you're giving yourself permission to be hyper focused on a task if that feeling comes up for you, or the opposite of that, if you just cannot get focused no matter what, that's okay. You can respect that energy at the time, knowing that you have a game plan and you have a strategy in place to still get everything done that you need to. A second ADHD struggle that I have learned about is overcommitting. And I feel like this is something that probably all women, whether you have ADHD or not, can relate to. But several women who I work with that have ADHD have mentioned struggling with overcommitting. And they would say yes to almost everything because they didn't have a view of everything going on. So it was really hard to understand and realize the impact that yes had on the rest of their life and all of the other aspects of their life. And the TMA framework has a really big focus on mindset and boundaries and how to decide what boundaries to set, how to set them, and then how to uphold them so that you can work on that mindset piece of your time management and you can understand how you view time. And that makes implementing the principles and the skills easier. And actually, one of my clients said something the other day that I wrote down in my notebook. And she said that overcommitting is her love language. That saying yes to everyone is how she is like, she was kind of joking, but she was like, overcommitting is how I show people that I love them because I'm committing to everything. So TMA has helped her learn how to not overcommit, but to still love people really well. And then another struggle is with overwhelm. And again, I feel like this is something that it doesn't matter if you have ADHD. As working moms, we understand and can empathize so much when anyone says the word overwhelm. Like we are the picture in the dictionary under the word overwhelm, right? And overwhelm can be eased by using time management skills, which comes from pillar number 2 in the TMA framework. And I want to tell you a little bit, I'm going to get a little sciencey here for a second, because overwhelm is when your brain is actually trying to protect you. So we have what's called your lizard brain, which is like your like natural instincts of your brain, and the way that it works is to protect you from dangerous things. So before, thousands of years ago, our brains were designed to protect us from things like mountain lions chasing us and bears chasing us, to quite literally keep us alive. Well, now in 2024, we don't have mountain lions chasing us. So now your brain turns things into danger that aren't actually dangerous for us, and that can prevent you from taking action on them. And a really great example of this is when you have a bunch of tasks that you need to do and you freeze and you do nothing and you get really overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing. That is your brain trying to protect you. The TMA framework shows you how to make your brain feel really, really safe so that you can actually get things done instead of freezing in paralyzing overwhelm and taking no action. So I want to go back to these 4 pillars really quick, because I want to break down each pillar inside of the TMA framework with considerations for ADHD. So again, pillar number 1 is the principles of time management. And this is going to help you prioritize truly what matters and filter out any distractions. Pillar number 2 is the skills of time management. And these are tools like time blocking, building out your calendar, planning, task batching. And these are going to provide you with a lot of clarity, even when focusing might feel really difficult for you. And then the third pillar is the mindset around time management. So you're going to shift thoughts from, I can't do this, I have too much on my plate, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know how I'm going to get everything done. Instead, you are going to train your brain to think, I have a lot to do today, but I am capable of handling it. Or yes, it's a busy week, but I know what to do to not get overwhelmed. That's the mindset side of things. And then the fourth pillar is bandwidth awareness. And this teaches you how to respect your true capacity to say yes or no to things and doing it in a really respectful way for your energy levels. And this allows you to set realistic expectations so that you're not disappointed if things don't get done when you think they're going to get done, because you have a real view of your actual bandwidth. Multiple clients have said to me that the Time Management Academy framework has almost settled and calmed their brain down. Now, again, I'm going off of anecdotal third-party feedback that I have received. So I don't have any science of what their brain activity was doing, but they have shared that it has settled and calmed their brain, which is that just makes me so happy that they have found something to settle themselves. And recently, a client has actually shared with me that she was implementing the framework and she's finally getting shit done in her business. She was like, I feel like I've gotten more done over the last couple of weeks since implementing just parts of the framework than I have in the last several months. And she even went as far as to say that she was able to take a sick day without stressing out the entire time that she was sick about all of the things that might fall through the cracks. She said that when she took a sick day, she focused on getting better and just resting and just respecting the fact that she was sick. And she was able to get better faster because she took that time instead of trying to force herself to work through it because she was worried about what wouldn't get done. She knew that she had a game plan to get everything done, even with a sick day thrown in there. And so again, this framework is not a one size fits all, which I think is truly the foundation of finding an effective way for you to manage your time, even with ADHD, is you need something that is customizable to you. This is a guide to building a time management system that fits you and the way that your brain works and your life circumstances, no one else's. It gives you the tools to build a customized approach to your time. And I will also say that ADHD brains often thrive with these types of personalized systems because they reflect your unique needs and your unique rhythms. And so you may have moments where you're thinking that nothing will work for you and there's no way that you'll ever be good at managing your time. But I really want to encourage you to keep trying different approaches until you find the right solution, because the right one is out there for you. And maybe it's Time Management Academy. You never know. Even if it isn't TMA, keep trying to find a solution that works for you. Now, if you've been struggling to manage your time, or you want to see how the TMA framework can work for you, I want to encourage you to join the waitlist for the January cohort for Time Management Academy Live at theloradavis.com. Join this waitlist because when you do this, you get early access to enrollment for the January cohort, and you also get exclusive savings that I am not going to offer anywhere else except to the waitlist. So you can join that waitlist at theloradavis.com. And just remember that your time matters and you deserve a system that helps you make the most of your time. So I'd love to hear in the comments if you have ADHD or if you suspect that you might have ADHD, and what time management challenges have affected you the most. Which ones do you struggle with the most? Which ones do you face regularly? I'd love to hear that in the comments, or you're also welcome to share with me on Instagram. It's .laura.davis. And I will see you in the next episode.